We're 69 days into celebrating Black History this year. And this month, so much needed, should be 69 days of celebrating women as also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're celebrating women, and we're going to continue to celebrate Black History for the remaining days of the year into the next year
Mm-hmm.
because we can. And so we are ready to do the Tea Time Show. As you know, it's aired every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. And look who we have as our guest. We have Dr. Karen Jackson, Director of African Studies at the University of South Alabama. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, Dr. Anderson, I want to thank you for everything you do over there at Pensacola State College, holding it down for all of our wonderful students, and it's a pleasure to be on here with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, will you tell us a little bit about yourself, please? Whatever you want to share with us that we want to know. We want to grow today. We want to
Right,
learn
right,
something
right.
today.
Well, I'm on here today to talk about study abroad in West Africa, particularly in Ghana, Togo, and Benin. And essentially, at the University of South Alabama, where I teach and direct the African American Studies program, we're having our inaugural West Africa Study Abroad course and trip. And of course, it's part of a U.S. Department of State program ideas grant, which is to stimulate more people of color studying abroad.
Wonderful. So, why those three places?
Well, actually, in Mobile, Alabama, where our university is located, we have a particular connection to Ouida, Benin, in as much as one of the last known ships of enslavement came from Ouida in Benin to Mobile, Alabama, and with about 110 folk. And many of those folk, people are still residing in Mobile as well
Yes.
as up and down the East Coast and up and
Yes.
down the Mississippi. And so, with our students, we wanted to sort of continue an understanding of that part of the diaspora. And so, yeah, that's why we chose Benin, Togo, and Ghana. As you know, those colonial boundaries that separate those countries are arbitrary. And though they speak some European languages along the coast, what we call the slave coast, the primary language is Iwe, which they all share in that region.
What's the name of that language again?
Iwe, EWE.
EWE.
Hmm.
Wonderful.
And so our students are going to be able to, our journey starts in Ghana, in Accra, but we will spend the bulk of our time in a place called Keka, which is in the
Cape Town.
In the Volta region, where we will be welcomed by the community for several days, and we'll do some ethnographic field work among artisans that deal in material culture such as weavers and also drum makers, um, among others. And so um, our study abroad is a class um, in May, and so that will be part of it. And subsequent to being in Ghana, we will journey to Lomé, Togo, the capital, where we have some interaction at the University of Lomé with other students and faculty. Um, and after that, we will go to Ouida, Benin, where the Clotilde landed and took on those Africans, and we will sort of explore that connection. We'll visit the sacred forest and the door of no return and this sort of thing. And then our final destination will be Togoville in Togo, which is where the treaty was signed that divided up that region among the colonial powers. But it holds specific interest because it's also a place of now presently a spiritual healing.
So I remember talking on the phone with you when you were in Togo last year. Was that the month of November,
December, December.
December? Okay.
Hmm.
So apparently you're going to these places quite often, right? How long have
No,
you
this will
been?
only be my second time.
Okay.
Typically with new study abroad programs, and this is why the ideas grant from State Department was so useful.
Mhm.
Typically, you have to sort of devise a plan.
Mhm.
Um, and also, we had a very new partner. Our partner on this study abroad is called Africa Our Home.
Mhm.
And so I got a chance to meet the director and the staff of Africa Our Home, as
Mhm.
well as sort of look at the locations where the students and the faculty will be located.
Mhm.
And so that's what I did in December so that we could take this trip in May.
I see. I see. I see.
And Dr. Tony, one of the reasons I'm delighted to be on your show here is because, of course, it takes funding,
Yes.
and so we are seeking to supplement our students, particularly because it costs so much to journey to West
Mhm.
Africa,
Mhm.
and um, and so they got their GoFundMe pages and they have passed the plate at their church
Mhm.
and things of this
Right.
nature.
Right.
But I think it's sort of important because I know as well as you know with your students that these types of experiences are educational game changers,
Absolutely.
right? You might start out wanting to be a doctor or a lawyer or something more,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
then you find yourself after these trips doing something that's much more humanities connected sociologically or in terms of literature or history.
Yes.
So
Indeed.
I can't tell you how many times I've listened to other students from other places talk about how these types of experiences are game changers.
Absolutely. Look, I was born in America,
Hmm.
but my DNA states that I'm from Nigeria. I have
Okay, then.
68.9% Nigerian
Hmm.
blood, and I have 12 other ethnicities in my blood, which cover South Africa and other places as well.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I've always been intrigued. I have visited Africa, but
Hmm.
in my generation, let me explain this, and then I have a few more questions. But and
Hmm.
you can talk as well. But my generation, when we grew up, of course, we were watching some great cartoons, but the main show on a Saturday morning was Tarzan. And so we were hoodwinked in other ways, but this is one way where we were hoodwinked about the
Hmm.
motherland,
Hmm.
about Africa, because we were thinking it's barren. We
Hmm.
saw no buildings on this Tarzan show, and all we saw was Tarzan, Jane, and Cheetah,
Hmm.
and then we saw the habitat, which looked like wilderness always. So who at that time when we were growing up, who wants to go and visit Africa? Now we move forward some years,
Hmm.
and I want to let you know it's a lovely place. For those of you who think there's nothing but lions, tigers, bears, and all that, giraffes, oh, it's much, 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 much more than that.
Yeah, I that's one of the things that these types of trips do, right? They show how sophisticated the civilization.
Tell us again.
Yeah, and well, essentially, lack of knowledge and lack of contact creates ignorance.
Yeah, that's what we were.
And part of this trip is to not only like visit the grave of Kwame Nkrumah and see how he was one of the first presidents of a decolonized nation, but
Yes,
also to journey along what's called the slave coast, right, and see for ourselves,
yes.
interact with folks, and you know, a lot of these places may be poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the folks are incredibly giving. They're wonderful to interact with. We
Intelligent. They're
on
very
our
intelligent.
trip, we're going to visit museums, and we're going to be hosted by members of clans that that are going to blow my students' mind, like
Yes,
simply because they haven't been exposed.
that's
And
correct.
and so this in part is the idea of study abroad more broadly, but in our case, it's the food, the architecture, the music. I had one student recently who wrote an incredible essay to solicit funds from the Gilman Scholarship, and she wrote it about just she's been all her young sort of adolescent life, she's been talking about hair and being sort of fascinated with cosmetology. And she is so excited to go to the place that inspires so much of something she is actively engaged with
Wonderful.
as an artist.
Wonderful.
And I think that's sort of the point is to sort of demystify a place,
Yes.
um, sit, break bread, learn, be critical, be understanding, and I think it. I think one of the things about my experience in Ghana, Togo, and Benin, I learned more about myself
Yes.
and more about what I believe and think about, particularly social justice wise, in terms of freedom and literacy, and some what are the key components. And
Yes.
it just enriched my own personal story, which I think is in part what travel does.
Absolutely. So, getting back to the course, and we're going to put up the QR code, hopefully,
Hmm.
um, to show everyone, those who want to donate, and go from there. But you mentioned the course. Is that a virtual course or in-person course?
It's a course that is part of it is leaving the country. So
Mm-hmm.
we will do a week of study at the beginning of May, and then
Mm-hmm.
the subsequent 2 weeks we will be on travel.
Okay.
So it's not online. And
Okay.
I see in the chat that Sir Isaac Newton's asking a question.
Mm-hmm.
There are two giving links that are strictly for students. One is by the Clotilde Society, connected through Lifelines Mental Health here in Mobile, Alabama. And
Mm-hmm.
also we have a giving page from the University of South Alabama. Both
Mm-hmm.
of those giving pages have tax exempt IDs. And
Mm-hmm.
so your gift will go towards defraying your tax costs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So only students are able to travel with you this time?
No, nope. We have faculty, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to get a couple of community members to join us. And
Mm-hmm.
this is our inaugural trip. I,
Mm-hmm.
I fully anticipate that it will balance out, and we will have community members travel as well in
Mm-hmm.
the future. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think we have one potential community member from Africa Town that's going to join us. But
Mm-hmm.
again, the issue, not just for students, but for all, is
Okay.
is
So
cost.
if outside of being a student, how do
Mhm.
we connect with you to sign up for travel in May at this point?
Right. So you can contact me at the University of South Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
the African American Studies program.
Mm-hmm.
There's my email on the screen and an
Mm-hmm.
office number. You
Mm-hmm.
also there's a study abroad link that was on the QR code on the previous slide,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the primary ways you can contact us. We have two types of participants in this trip:
Mm-hmm.
student, non-student.
Mm-hmm. So when
So
is the deadline to make this happen for those in the
the
community?
deadline is going to be the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
We're deep into the right now. We have about tentative 10 people traveling,
Mm-hmm.
um, 8 students and 2 faculty.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a nice group. And I know you don't want your groups to be too large because, they'll get out of control as you're trying to maneuver in all of those different places.
Mhm.
Um, it's,
But
it's,
I think what we do at the university, your university and mine, is we try to be a resource.
yes.
And one of our partners, well, our major partner is called Africa Our Home.
Mm-hmm.
They do more than just student trips.
Okay.
So that is another, and the thing I like about Africa Our Home, and it's not too boutique or commercial. You have
Mm-hmm.
ample
Great.
time to visit with folks and meet people while being directed and while having someone who's going to guide you.
Well, since you've already kind of scoped out the area for this
Mhm.
second trip coming up, can you tell us a little? I know the trip is, well, I'll let you tell. How much is the cost for the trip so I don't get it
Okay,
wrong?
so our trip is about 7,000. Because it is a course with the university. You pay for the class and the fees for the class, and that's about 5,000. And then there's the plane flight, which is about two.
So, by the end of March,
Hmm.
anyone who wants to go on this trip, they would need to put forth $7,000 at
Yes,
least.
ma'am. Make a
And that,
deposit, and then they
right?
have a couple of months to. Yes.
Okay, and that does not include their meals or anything like
Oh,
that.
that's everything is included. Meals, travel, housing, all that's covered in that cost. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
The
that's
only
good.
thing
So all they
that
need is spending money.
right, that,
Hmm.
and then you have to pay for your passport and your
Hmm.
vaccinations.
Hmm. Hmm.
But once you get there, everything is taken care of.
Great, wonderful. That's not a bad deal. Now,
Mm.
tell us about the flight for those who are afraid to fly. For long periods of time, be up in the air. I used to have this thing. I can't be up here for more than an hour. Then I extended myself, came out of my box, and I went 2 hours. But when I flew, I flew through about five to Africa. I flew through about five different time zones. I think all the time zones
Mm.
I flew through, and I was up in the air and I felt pretty
Now,
good.
now, now, Dr. Tony, you can't be scared of this, right? This is the thing, and what we're trying to do is do one of those more direct flights out of
Mhm.
JFK in New York that goes
Mhm.
directly to Ghana, as opposed to
Okay.
taking you all over Hill's Creation.
Yes.
But um, y- you know, it's very safe
It
plane,
is. It is.
and I think when you go with a group, it makes it a lot easier
It
than
does. It
doing
does.
by yourself.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, in my almost 60 years of being on this earth, that plane travel's just gotten more comfortable, right? And so I would tell folks not to worry. You know, you will be there with us. And
Mhm.
I have one student, and I have to say this: three or four of my students are freshmen,
Mhm.
so they're only in their second semester of college, and most of them are
Mhm.
18, 19 years old,
Mhm.
and they ask the same question you did. I have one, Miss Smith. I said, Miss Smith, you'll be sitting next to me, and we will
Got to keep
talk.
an eye on you,
That's
huh?
right. We will talk the whole time down and back. So there's no need
Yes.
for you to worry,
That's
um,
correct.
and everything. So yeah, I think that we have to, if we want to have these experiences, we have to take the leap of faith and
That's right.
and get on the
Yes,
plane.
right. Yes, my faith is strong. That's how I
All
made
right.
it. I
Okay
made it,
then.
and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Eye-opening experience for me, because in
Well,
Alabama.
I'll tell you a story, Dr. Tony.
Okay.
And when we did the site visit in Keta,
Mhm.
Ghana,
Mhm.
of course, everybody found out that you there,
Mhm.
right? And they want to meet you.
Yes.
and and it's not like you're just going on this trip. It won't be just like you're some sort of strictly a tourist.
Mhm.
Um, we were asked by one of the assemblymen to actually do some ethnographic field work when we come
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
I understand because I do oral history as a folklorist, and he said, "I
Yes.
understand that you collect stories." I was like, "Yeah, I collect stories." He says,
Mhm.
"Well, if you come with your students and they want to really learn something about their roots, can you
Mhm.
have them to interview some of our elders who are artisans?"
Oh my! How
And I
about that?
wasn't expecting that.
That's nice.
They got the internet too. They said, "We read up on you too,
Yeah.
and
Nothing's a
we
secret
understand."
anymore.
That's right. And you
Mhm.
have this skill, and we would like
Mhm.
to document X, Y, and Z.
Mhm. So something changed, and we did not hear what you said. Let's see if we can get it repeated again. We heard up until they wanted the story. We could hear you talking, but we couldn't hear what you were saying, and it was a little static that came on the line. I'm not sure how we can correct it. Mm-hmm.
Collecting narrative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know what? Um, I can hear some of it, and so we can, whoever's listening to it later on can like turn the volume up a little bit so we can understand what you just said, all of it. But I was most impressed with the funding source in Africa,
Hmm.
from Africa, from one place in Africa to another. It changed.
Mm.
Uh,
What are you talking
shilling,
about? The money? How?
yes,
Oh, the
yes.
currency? Okay, yeah.
Yes. And then I was quite impressed with them staying outside all day in what they call market,
Mm-hmm.
selling their products. And I was in Kampala, Uganda,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
downtown, and they had the markets, the way we see our flea markets,
Mm-hmm.
and things. And they had the ladies with their sewing machines
Right on the spot.
right on the spot, measure you, tell you to go and shop for 15, 20
Mhm.
minutes, come back, and your wardrobe is complete.
Mhm.
Outstanding, outstanding. And that's the kind of intelligence that flowed through Africa.
No, I
Uh,
mean that yeah, the world economy is
mhm.
is happening, and our students and the folks who join this program are going to be able to visit markets and places in 3 different countries,
Yes, wonderful.
right? And so they will get that experience as well. And I
Hmm.
have to say that our guides are wonderful. I've met all of them in all
Hmm.
3 countries.
Hmm.
They're going to be with us every time we go to market.
Yes.
Won't be going alone, right?
Yes, that feels better. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it feels
Absolutely.
better. And your home, usually you're in a compound. Uh,
Right. We're gonna be staying actually in hotels and condos.
okay, nice.
This isn't one of those experiences where you stay in someone's home or anything like that.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, it's good. And don't worry, I was afraid that I would not have the facilities that I'm used to. They
Oh
do
no.
have a Swatis, they call them in Africa. Uh, I was able to avoid all of those but one time, so don't feel uncomfortable. It's a wonderful resource. The people are just like Dr. Jackson said, they are friendly, nice, and they know English.
Hmm.
They speak English.
Yeah, in a lot of places. Now, in Togo and Benin, they do speak
Mhm.
French,
Mhm.
in addition to Iwe.
Mhm.
So, but I think I found it very maneuverable, going
Mhm.
out of customs very easy,
Mhm. Yes.
not threatening.
Mhm.
So, and we will all be on vans, the same van together, traveling from country to country. So we won't have those kind of difficulties.
Yeah, so I'm encouraging you, if you can't go this time this year, because we have to save up our money, and we're just hearing about it,
Hmm.
now, and we have to make our minds up by the end of March as to if we're going to go, and we know that the cost is $7,000, and then you need some spending money for shopping if you like to shop.
Yeah,
Uh,
and also if folks want to support students, right? That's my thing.
yes, absolutely.
I'm trying to get these young folks this experience,
Yes,
and
and
if they
I'm
are
all for
able,
it.
if
Yes,
they're
there's a
able to
QR
support
code.
that, that is fabulous.
That's wonderful. Absolutely. So we will absolutely have this up so that people can donate, and it goes all over the place. And I'm getting ready to let you close out with your final words, and I'll make an announcement as to all of the of course this
Right,
goes
right.
across all of the social media platforms, but it also runs on a channel out of Chicago, Illinois,
Well,
which
yeah, let me just say that to everybody that it's really super essential to support our best and brightest. And the students that have committed to this particular study abroad have already made a considerable contribution to the betterment of our university
yes,
community. And I'm extremely confident in them that they will continue to do so
yes.
in substantial ways going forward in the
Hmm.
future. And so please help to support these students who, demonstrated high academic competency and strength of character. And I think we need often to selfishly invest in our future through their potential. So please give in the future. Join if you can't join this year. We're happy to have you, and it's a wonderful way to sort of celebrate our heritage in
That's right.
diaspora.
And keep it alive.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, keep it alive. So I want to thank you again. And when you return after May, I'd like to have you agree to come back and show us Africa, some pictures of
Yeah.
Africa
Well,
and
maybe
all of
we can
that.
have some students on and they can talk about what they experienced.
That would be nice. We'd love to have you and the students, whomever wants to come on the show.
Okay.
We can do that. No problem. After you return and you rest up, just pick a day, whenever
Okay.
Saturday you
Okay.
want to, and we'd love to have you. So we
Yeah,
have.
the students have some task of give back that they have to do for people who share their support.
Mhm.
So it's not like just like they're taking. They have to come home and they have some things that we've planned for them to execute.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Are you planning to take something that uh, those areas need? Like when I went to the dollar store and I picked up flip
Hmm.
flops and mirrors and makeup and nail polish and just
Right.
things and candy. I took lots of candy.
Right. No, we haven't had class yet, but we're going to talk about what the class is going to do in that vein. So we do have plans to talk about it once we
Okay.
convene for the course in May.
Okay, once y'all decide on what you want to take, please
Exactly.
let me
Mhm.
know and we'll make contributions to that
Oh,
as
that'll be
well.
wonderful, Dr. Anderson. Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely. I wouldn't let you go without contributing something from Pensacola, Florida.
All
All
right.
right. So again, it's a pleasure, and I'm always interested in our culture, because we don't know it. We're
Yes, ma'am.
learning and we're growing there, but there's a lot we don't know. So I appreciate you working with the students and doing what you do. And it's a wonderful platform. And we want to, after this journey, we want to get the word out a little earlier so that we can get more people to attend and so they can learn and know better. And then if they know better, guess what they can do? Do
Well,
better.
maybe even the next time we go, we can have some Pensacola State College
That'll work
students
for me.
to join.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that
All
would
righty.
include me also. And
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
wonderful. So, thank you again. I can't thank you enough for your information and for what you do, and I'm appreciating it. And we're going to move forward doing what we know to do. And so we have a couple commercials, and you know that this show it runs on all the social media platforms. So it's once it's out there in cyber world, it's
Mhm.
there to stay. And so people will be viewing this for a while. So we have corporate prayer we do every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. All you have to do is dial in 605 313 5883. It doesn't require that you say anything unless you absolutely want to. Just call, and the corporate prayer is the best type of prayer to have, because 1, 2, 3 are gathered in His name. Guess what? We're going to make it happen. 605 313 5883 every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Just dial in for prayer. And prayer do change things, and it doesn't hurt anything. So go for it. And so do call in. And so also this show is aired on all the social media platforms, but also at GMAP Broadcasting Network every Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. All you have to do is just go to www.gmap1.com to watch. And we look forward to you doing that. And we thank you. And anyone interested in going to Africa, please stay in touch, and ask more questions so that you can get the correct answers and you don't have to feel like you're in a box for understanding the continent of Africa, which is a very large continent. And most people don't know that all the other continents can fit inside of that one.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Have a
Bye
good
bye.
day. Bye
Hmm.
bye.